The strangest thing you did today was not checking your phone. It was not drinking coffee. It was not sitting in traffic. The strangest thing you did was handing your best hours to an idea humans lived without for almost all of history, a job. Think about that. For hundreds of thousands of years, no human woke up thinking I have to be at work by 9. No boss, no paycheck, no office, no career, no weekend, no Monday. And yet they were not lazy. They were not lost. They were not waiting for life to begin. Their days were full of food, fire, children, tools, stories, movement, danger, and choices that could mean life or death. So what did ancient humans actually do all day before jobs existed, and why does their world make our normal life look so strange? The obvious answer is, they struggled nonstop. Every hour was hunting, every day was hunger, every night was fear. That version feels right because ancient life could be brutal. A bad wound could kill, a failed hunt could matter, a cold season could break a group. But the strangest evidence is not a cave painting, not a spear, not a skull. It is time. In the 1960s, anthropologist Richard Lee studied the Juhansi, a hunter-gatherer people in southern Africa, and his work shocked people. Getting enough food did not always take the endless labor modern people expected. The exact numbers are debated. Different groups lived different lives, but the big surprise remained. Some people we imagine as desperate survivors may have spent less time directly getting food than many modern people spend trapped at work. So the question changes. If ancient humans were not hunting every second, what filled the rest of the day? The answer is not laziness. It is something stranger. Before jobs existed, work had a clear reason to begin and a clear reason to stop. Now imagine waking up 100,000 years ago. No alarm, no phone, no calendar, no clock telling your body when life should begin. You wake because the world wakes. Light touches the ground. The air changes. Birds move. Children make noise. Someone shifts beside the fire. Someone is already watching the sky. The day begins, not with a schedule, but with attention. This was their clock, the sun, the wind, the cold, the smell of smoke, the tracks near camp, a broken branch, a silence that should not be there to us. That may look like nothing, but to them it was information. Did animals pass in the night? Is rain coming? Is there food nearby? Should the group move? Does the fire need wood? Does a child need care? A modern morning begins with notifications. An ancient morning began with signs. And if you missed the wrong sign, the day could become dangerous before it even began. Food was the center of the day, but not in the simple movie version. Not just men throwing spears, while everyone else waited. Real survival was wider. People gathered plants, dug roots, collected fruit, found nuts, looked for honey, picked shellfish, watched birds, followed tracks, checked what the season was offering. Hunting mattered, but gathering often mattered just as much. And both required knowledge. A footprint in soft ground could mean dinner. A plant with the wrong leaf could mean poison. A sudden silence in the trees could mean something was watching. This is where ancient work becomes different. It was not just labor, it was reading. Reading the ground, reading animals, reading weather, reading memory. A modern person reads emails to survive a job. An ancient person reads footprints to survive the day. And that is the twist. The real work was not only finding food, it was understanding what the world was saying before the world punished you. But after food came the work nobody puts in the movie, the quiet work. The repeated work, the work that kept life from falling apart. A stone edge had to be sharpened, a wooden handle had to be fixed, a hide had to be scraped, water had to be carried, food had to be prepared, fire had to be protected. Archaeologists find stone tools everywhere. But those tools were not only weapons. They cut meat, scraped skin, worked wood, prepared plants, repaired other things. In Central Europe, a group of stone blades about 30,000 years old looked like a personal toolkit, not a treasure, not a trophy. A toolkit, something carried, used, maintained, needed. Fire left its own evidence too. Ash, charcoal, burned bones, heated stones. Old hearths, where people came back, again and again. These traces are not dramatic, but they reveal the truth. Most survival was not one heroic hunt. It was small tasks, done before small problems became death. Children were not outside this world. They were inside it, watching, copying, playing, making mistakes. A child learning to crack a nut was learning food. A child learning to stay quiet was learning danger. A child listening to an elder was learning memory. There were no schools, but the whole day was school. And stories were not just entertainment. A story could warn a child about a river that floods, a plant that made someone sick, an animal that should not be cornered, a place that looked safe but was not. This is why talking mattered. In a small group, who you trusted could save your life. Who shares food, who lies, who panics, who protects children, who disappears when trouble comes. That information was survival. At places like Blombos Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found shell beads, ochre, and signs of symbolic behavior. Not jobs, not salaries. Meaning, identity, belonging. The group was not the background of life. The group was the survival system. Then slowly, the day changed. Not everywhere, not all at once, and not because humans suddenly became smarter, but as some groups began to farm, time became heavier. Seeds had to be planted at the right moment. Fields had to be watched. Weeds had to be removed. Animals had to be kept. Harvests had to be stored. Food was no longer only something found in the landscape. It became something tied to land, to seasons, to waiting, to ownership, to the future. And this is the part most people miss. Farming did not just change food, it changed time. Researchers studying the Agta people in the Philippines found that groups doing more farming work had less leisure time than groups focused more on foraging. That does not mean farming was bad. Farming fed more people. It helped build villages, storage, growth, civilization, but it also made work more repetitive, more measurable, more tied to tomorrow. There was no office in the first field, but something had begun. The day was becoming something that could be counted, and once a day can be counted, it can be owned. So the real answer is not. Ancient humans did nothing. They did plenty. They walked, gathered, hunted, cooked, repaired, taught, listened, watched, shared, remembered. They faced hunger, injury, cold, danger, and grief. Their lives were not easy, but their work was usually close to the reason for doing it. If someone gathered roots, children ate that night. If someone fixed a spear point, tomorrow's hunt had a chance. If someone kept the fire alive, everyone felt warmth. If someone watched a child, the future survived. If an elder told a warning story, someone might avoid death. Years later, the meaning was visible in the hands, in the fire, in the faces nearby. Modern work can be stranger. You can spend a whole day exhausted, answering messages, moving numbers, joining meetings, finishing tasks, and still feel disconnected from why it mattered. So maybe the biggest difference was not how much work humans did. Maybe it was who owned the hours. Ancient humans had work, but they did not yet have jobs that could take the day away from life. Tomorrow morning, your alarm may ring again. You may check the time, open your phone, think about where you have to be, and it will feel normal, because this is the world we know. But for most of human history, a human day was not built around a job. It was built around food, weather, fire, children, tools, stories, danger, rest, and the group. Ancient humans did not live in paradise. They suffered, they feared, they lost people, they faced problems. We can barely imagine, but their day was not divided like ours. Work over here, family over there, learning somewhere else, rest only after permission, life only after the day is finished. So maybe ancient humans did not have less to do. Maybe they lived before one idea, took control of almost everything. The job. Before jobs existed, humans still worked, but the day had not yet been captured. They did not live without work. They lived before work became the thing that owned the day, and that may be why their world makes ours look so strange.